Hey y'all, Chelsea and Danny here.
Enjoy this episode of Today's Homeowner here on YouTube.
Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Real projects for real homeowners with real solutions. Information and inspiration on improving your home from professional remodeler Danny Lipford.
Welcome to the show. You know, there's a number of things you can do to your home that can really improve your home's appearance. But improving the energy efficiency of your home is one upgrade that'll continue paying you dividends month after month. Now, there's a ton of different products and ideas that are out there to improve the energy efficiency of your home, but frankly, some of them work, but a lot of them don't. This week, we'll show you a number of practical things you can do to your home that really do work, and most of them are very inexpensive. While older homes may benefit more, there's always room for improvement in the energy efficiency of your home, no matter how old your home is. Now, the place to start is by sealing the envelope. Not the envelope on the power bill, but the envelope that surrounds your home and separates the comfortable conditioned air inside from the hot and cold temperatures outside. Now, you're spending money to keep your inside temperature nice and comfortable, so air leaks around windows and doors or any air from the outside that dilutes the inside air is costing you money. In fact, up to 35% of a home's energy loss can be contributed to air leaks. Every home's a little different, so you may want to hire an energy auditor to come out to your home and really look things over and recommend exactly where to focus your energy-saving efforts. Now, your local utility company may be able to recommend an energy auditor, or they may offer that service themselves, many times free of charge. But for the cost of a few tubes of caulking and a little bit of expandable foam, you can go a long way in sealing up the envelope of your home. You want to look for any crack or gap around the house that might allow air to pass through. Gaps around windows are notorious for letting in outside air, so check them carefully. If you added up all the cracks like this around a house, the net result would be like leaving the windows open all the time. Dryer vents, garden hose bibs, and plumbing penetrations are all areas to check for cracks. Caulk will work for gaps up to 3/8 of an inch, but for anything larger, you should probably try an expandable foam sealant. These products squirt into gaps and expand to fill the void, stopping the flow of air. If your home is brick and you find holes like this around the outside, don't seal them up. These are weep holes, and they're necessary to allow moisture that may be behind the bricks a place to escape. Obviously, you're going to break the seal of the envelope every time you open the door. But the important thing about doors is that when they are closed, they should completely block out all the outside air. The weather stripping here and the threshold there will determine whether or not this happens. Weather stripping can range from a very simple foam tape arrangement to preformed materials that nest into notches built into the door frame itself. Other versions are nailed to the door frames to create a wider doorstop surface that's complete with a gasket to seal out those drafts. There are many options when it comes to weather stripping. Probably the best thing to do is to take a small piece of weather stripping from the door you're working on, take it with you to the home center to buy the new weather stripping. That's exactly what we did here, and we found exactly what we needed to replace the old worn out weather stripping on this door. What happens over the years, the weather stripping becomes compacted and it's just not as effective in keeping the outside air out. So this will make a big difference in this door. Now, when you're talking about thresholds, you can replace just the rubber strip that has a tendency to wear out because of all the foot traffic like this one has, or you may just want to go ahead and spend $5 or $6 buying a brand new one. It looks a lot nicer anyway, and it's very easy to install by removing the rubber stripping, taking the screws out, notching it along the side as you need to put it right in place. There's also thresholds that are adjustable that you can install and has little adjustment screws to raise or lower it so that it aligns with the bottom of the door. Now another thing that you can use, kind of as an extra layer of protection from the outside air coming in, is what we call a door sweep or a door bottom seal. These come in a variety of finishes, and this basically attaches to the inside of the door. You can nail or screw it in, and it goes right against the threshold to really protect from getting the outside air into the home, and it also helps keep those insects out. Now another thing you can do on the inside of the home to keep the outside air out involves electrical outlets. No matter how well you seal the outside of your home, you still may get some air inside the walls, and it'll find its way inside through electrical outlets and switch covers. But there's a way to handle that with using an insulated socket sealer. It's a very simple thing, and they're very inexpensive, and it's basically just a gasket that fits behind the plate. All you have to do is go around the perimeter of your house, the outside walls, take your plug plates off, put your little insulating covers over it, just like that. You can see how it completely seals the holes around the outlet itself. Then you just come right back, put your covers on, and that'll take care of that. Now these are very inexpensive, and as you can see, very easy to install. And go around the outside of the home, take care of this, take care of any switch covers that may be on the outside, and you'll see a significant difference in the draft that you may feel around these holes. Now stay with us, because we've got a lot more ideas on how you can save money on your energy bill. Welcome back to the show. Now we've talked about how the outside air can really influence how high those utility bills can be inside your home. Well, the same is true for the influence your attic space can have on your home. During the summer months, your attic can get a lot hotter than the outside temperature, and during the winter months, it can also get very cold. So to prevent the hot and cold of the attic from influencing your conditioned air downstairs, you'll want to handle the opening to your attic the same way we handled the exterior door earlier in the show, by utilizing foam weather stripping around the perimeter. Now this is a disappearing staircase. It's very common, but you may have a small scuttle door in your home. You can handle it the same way. You go around the perimeter of the door and clean it, then come back with the foam stripping and apply it. Then that'll really seal off the opening from the upstairs and downstairs. Also, it's a good idea to use some foam insulation board to put on the back side of the door, and that way that'll prevent any of the hot or cold transferring down to the downstairs. Up in the attic, you'll want to look for any place that air can escape, and you'll want to seal those areas off. Some of the areas around your heating and cooling ductwork where it touches the back of your ceiling, also recessed lights, and any wall where electrical or plumbing penetrations take place. Now you'll want to seal these areas off just like you did the outside with caulking or expandable foam. The next consideration is how much insulation you have. Now how much you need will depend on how much you already have in your attic and the region of the country that you live in. Now once you decide on how much you need, then you need to decide on what kind you need. Now recently we spoke with an insulation manufacturer who gave us some great do-it-yourselfer tips.
When you're considering looking at putting insulation in your attic, there's a few options. Obviously you can go with a standard batt insulation or a loose fill blown insulation. And there's certain differences you need to be aware of. Now typically the loose fill insulations are applied by professionals. Across the country there are many professional insulation contractors who are specially trained to apply that type of insulation properly. And it's important, in order to get the value out of the product, the correct R value, and to make sure that it functions properly in the future, it needs to be installed properly. For those reasons, that product is a little tougher for the average consumer to handle. There's equipment involved, and for that reason we recommend that you consider looking at batt insulation. That product is already made to a certain size. You can look at the package and determine exactly how much you need for your home. The information is right on the package. It's very easy to handle. Owens Corning produces a product called Miraflex, which is actually encapsulated in a polyethylene wrapper, so the skin never comes in contact with any of the fibers. The fibers are virtually itch-free, and they're covered in plastic, so it's easier to work with and easier to manipulate in the attic. When you're buying insulation that has a craft backing on it, we get a lot of questions about how to apply that product and what's the craft backing for. It's a vapor barrier, and it eliminates air infiltration through the product. When you apply that product, a simple tip to remember is apply the craft paper towards the warm and winter side of the house. So for instance, if you're in your attic and there's no insulation down in your attic today, you want to put the craft paper down. If there's existing insulation, you don't want to use a craft paper. You want to use an unfaced insulation. If you're in your basement and you're finishing your basement, and you're doing the walls, you would want to have the paper facing towards you as you apply it. If you're in a crawl space under your home and you're insulating the floor, then the craft paper would go up towards the warm and winter side of the house.
Installing insulation is really not a very physical type of job and really doesn't require much skill, but it's very uncomfortable. So if you do it yourself, make sure you have long sleeve shirts, mask, goggles, and gloves. Now don't go anywhere. When we come back, we have more tips for your home energy tune-up. Stay with us. We've covered how you can seal up the envelope of your home and insulate the space above it. But in a lot of older homes, the problem still exists with the windows, just like this 30-year-old wood single-pane windows. You can replace all the windows in the house. That can get expensive, but a much simpler way of insulating this space and creating a nice airspace between the outside and the inside is to use a very simple window insulator kit. It's very easy to install. This window kit comes with a double back tape which you apply to the sides and bottom of the window. Then from the top left corner, you begin rolling on the window film, pressing down its pre-taped edge all along the top. Cut off the excess at the right side, allowing for a slight overhang. Next, you remove the liner from the double stick tape and begin unrolling the window film. To remove any wrinkles, just use a regular blow dryer to gently heat the film and shrink it to a nice tight fit. Of course, this is not a permanent solution, but it will seal out the drafts and it only costs a few dollars a window. Now, let's talk about your water heater. Your water heater is one of the biggest energy users you have in the home, and behind this metal housing is just a thin layer of insulation. Now, you can really make your water heater a lot more efficient by providing a little more insulation around it, and that's what a water heater blanket is all about. It's only $15, and it only takes just a few minutes to install. The blanket just wraps around the water heater and is secured with the tape that's included in the kit. You'll have to do a bit of trimming around the valves and access panels, but the process is simple and quick. We're also adding insulated pipe wrap to the water lines that connect to the house. Now, this should really help this water heater in saving money. Now, if you have an electric water heater, this will also work, but here's another tip. You may want to try a mechanical time switch on your electric water heater. Now, what this allows you to do is to set the timer inside so that when you go to work, it'll cut the water heater off and it'll cut it back on just before you get home. This can really help you save money. Now, this timer idea will also work elsewhere in your house. Now, I'm sure everybody's familiar with this device. It's actually the source of a lot of family arguments. You know, some family members will want it turned down, some will want it turned up. It's a thermostat for the heating and cooling system, but not just any thermostat. It's actually a programmable setback thermostat. Now, this will allow you to actually program your heating and cooling system to adapt to your lifestyle. Now, if you have a regular job, say 8 to 5 every day, Monday through Friday, you can adjust this so that it will turn the temperature down or up so that you're saving on energy while you're away, and prior to you coming home, it'll kick it right back to a nice, comfortable temperature. Now, these are only about $80 and are very easy to install by removing your old standard thermostat and installing the new programmable thermostat. Of course, make sure you're reading those directions. And also, if you really want to save money, make sure that you're changing your air conditioned heating filter on a regular basis, at least once a month. Or if it's a washable filter like this, make sure you're washing it at least once a month. We'll be right back. Now, one last tip for energy savings. If you're still using incandescent bulbs and lamps around your home, consider using a compact fluorescent bulb. You get the same amount of light output, but it really saves a lot of energy, and it can last up to 7 years. I hope we've been able this week to give you some ideas that you can really use around your home to save on your next utility bill. I'm Danny Lipford. Hope to see you next week.
Get ready to review your Fix-It list as Danny and home repair expert Joe Truini show you this week's simple solution.
Well, Joe, when you said you were putting in a flower bed here, I was a little skeptical. Looks like a few rocks here.
Yeah, it looks more like a rock garden than a flower garden.
It sure does.
But I think once I get it all sifted out, the soil below is actually pretty good.
I see you have the sifter all set up here, and well, 1/4 inch instead of 1/2 inch hardware cloth. What's the deal?
Yeah, well, this dirt's really fine. It's got a lot of rocks in it, especially smaller rocks. So I went to a smaller mesh. I think the 1/4 inch will work a little better.
Okay, now usually I've seen these though with a framework around them to where you could kind of work with it. Why not a frame?
Well, there's actually an advantage to having just the 2 pieces of wood. What I did here is I just took a piece of 2-foot wide hardware cloth and I stapled a couple of 2x2s to it. And I positioned them so it just fits tightly over the wheelbarrow, and I'll show you why. There's an advantage to having it not in a frame. Dump the soil in. First, you can see that it goes through really easily and leaves behind all the stones. But the advantage of not having a solid frame is you can then pick it up and easily dump out the rocks.
Now, I've seen brick masons use this and that type of thing. I guess you could also use it for like filtering those clumps that end up in fertilizer bags.
Fertilizer or masonry sand. Sometimes if it's damp, it has a lot of clumps. But this works great for anything like that. And as you can see, I mean, it really just comes out perfectly clean, ready to go back into the bed.
Well, it really won't take long as fast as this is going, so you shouldn't have long at all in taking care of this.
We'll go a little quick if you want to grab that other shovel.
Now let's join Danny at the Home Center to check out this week's best new product.
When most people think of Dremel high-speed rotary tools, you think of hobbyists working on little projects on a workbench. Well, they're great for that, but now that there's over 150 accessories to go with the Dremel tools, they're a lot more versatile than they've ever been. Now, like a lot of tool manufacturers, Dremel's decided to go cordless with their 9.6 Multi-Pro cordless toolkit. Now, this particular one comes with the carrying case and 10 different accessories, some for grinding and sharpening, cutting, cleaning and polishing, sanding, even drill bits to drill small holes. Now let me show you what it looks like. I have one here. Of course, the box that we mentioned. Then inside, you can just see how lightweight the Dremel Multi-Pro cordless tool is. And also, it has a rotary dial on it. Starts out at 5,000 RPMs, and you continue to crank it up to 25,000 RPM. So again, very versatile in the way you use it. Also, on the change out of the bits is also very easy. Quick in, quick out, real easy to change out, locks right down. Then, as far as recharging it, you have your charger that comes with the kit. This pops right out and clips right in. So, very easy, doesn't take long at all to charge up, and it only costs $60 for everything. So whether you're a hobbyist or you realize all the different things you can do with the Dremel around the house, that's a pretty good tool.
Now let's go outside for Around the Yard with Danny and lawn and garden expert Barbara Katz.
Now, Barbara, I know that mulch really helps the appearance of beds around your home, but what are some of the other reasons homeowners should use mulch?
Well, you know, you hear it all the time, Danny, that the best thing about mulch is that it suppresses the weeds. And for those of us who just don't have a lot of time to maintain their yards, it's one of the best time-saving measures that you can do in your yard. The other thing that it does is it keeps the moisture in the ground. So for your plants, it's just wonderful.
Okay, now I see a lot of people using, wood chips that they've gotten from stumps being ground up or sawdust.
Right.
I wouldn't be very comfortable having that up against my house.
No, well, I mean, you're probably thinking about the termites.
Right.
Because it's fresh wood. But from my perspective, another problem there is that as that very fresh wood breaks down, it robs the soil of nitrogen. So it's really important to try and find some mulch that's actually been aged. And if you do, it'll probably cost a little bit more, but you really want to try and use the good stuff.
But it gets expensive when you're buying all those bags, especially if you have a lot of mulching to do.
I mean, I think probably your best bet is to find a company that will deliver it in bulk, and it will be much less expensive, and then you just get your buddies over and you have a mulching party.
Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Today's Homeowner. And don't forget to comment, like, and hit the bell icon so that we can notify you when new videos are posted.
And don't go anywhere, click around and continue the home improving fun.